Welcome to Wild About Trial. Today we are discussing the Elizabeth Johnson case. She was recently sentenced to over 5 years in prison, and our question that we are asking is, was this a fair sentence? Did she receive more time than she would have if this wasn't such a high publicity case? Sitting with me today are our team of legal experts, Kelly Gerner and Ryan Kerns. Ryan, tell me about it.
So, if you remember this case, this is the terrible case of a young mother who was found guilty of unlawful imprisonment, conspiracy to commit custodial interference, and custodial interference. These are 3 charges, but neither one of these is a really significant charge. She was acquitted of the most serious charge, that of kidnapping. So, when sentencing came around, she faced a maximum of 9 years and a minimum of 2 years. She had already spent 3 years in jail. So when she was sentenced to 5¼ years, this means that she is spending another 2 years plus after this date in prison.
Ms. Gerner, this case received a lot of national attention. I know that there were a lot of people in Arizona up in arms in this case. Let's remember that this is a woman who told her baby daddy that she had killed their child. So how is this judge being unfair?
It's not that the judge is being unfair, Alison. It's that the judge is very cognizant that there's more people in the courtroom than just Ms. Johnson. That there is, in fact, an entire state of Arizona who's been watching this case with bated breath, and that there is the McQueary family, that is Logan and his family, who have been deprived of their relationship with the missing baby Gabriel. And that the judge is taking into account all of these things when he's laying down this sentence. In a similar case with these charges, which as Ryan points out are more minor than the large charge of kidnapping, she might have been sentenced to the low term of only 2 years, given that she had no previous record, given that she had ample psychiatric history. That tends to be a mitigating factor when in sentencing. But because we have a very, very high-profile media attention case, because we have the active and vocal McQueary family, the judge didn't want to give her what would essentially amount to time served.
I'm going to go a lot further than that. I'm going to say that the judge may also be feeling pressure because there is no body and this baby has not been found. And there are strong inferences that she did in fact murder this child. There's a lot of testimony out there that pointed in that direction. And even though they may not be able to get her on that charge, maybe the judge is saying, well, time served when she could have been the one that killed this child is just not sufficient. What are your thoughts?
I think that that's absolutely correct, Alison, and in a way, the court is sort of leaving the door slightly ajar in case further evidence does come down the pike and they might be able to prove that the child was murdered.
So they keep her in custody, they still investigate the case, and then they can certainly file it.
I think that's precisely right. And I do want to throw in one other element into the mix, which is that the judge is also looking at how Elizabeth Johnson responded in the face of the investigation and prosecution. Elizabeth Johnson was completely uncooperative with prosecutors. They kept saying, hey, just tell us where the baby is and we will treat you fairly and we'll treat you accordingly. Just give us a location, give us some place where we can go and find this child so we all know that this is a safe and healthy and happy baby wherever he is. And she always said, she just responded in vagaries. She never gave them a concrete location. So the judge looks at that and says, look, you never cooperated with the investigation. You've always been kind of shifty and weird. You know, we're not going to reward that with time served.
To add to that shiftiness factor, this is the woman who had not only spoken vagaries, never really cooperated with police, but changed her story several times throughout this process. Changed her story about what happened with Gabriel, that she had given up the baby in adoption, that she had given it out to different people. She had murdered the child.
So certainly the judge looked at that in the sentencing as things to consider.
Elizabeth Johnson, in the sentencing, even told the judge that she deserved the max sentence, and he still only went down to 5¼ years when the max sentence is 9 years.
You now have the scoop. You now know what happened in this case, how she was sentenced, what she was sentenced to, and why.